Hello everybody and welcome to another tutorial. This is Teach You Technology, and this time I'm going to teach you what SSH is and how to use it with the Raspberry Pi. SSH, or Secure Socket Shell, is a way to connect to a computer's command prompt or shell remotely. It involves logging into a computer such as a Raspberry Pi from a separate computer. SSH has secure in its name because it uses encryption to send and receive data. SSH is the most common way people use the Raspberry Pi's command prompt remotely without a desktop. Its key advantage is logging into a computer without the need of a monitor, keyboard, or mouse. This greatly reduces the cost of using the Raspberry Pi. First of all, you obviously need a Raspberry Pi. I've got the Raspberry Pi 4 right here, although any other version would work. If you have any other version except for the Raspberry Pi 4, you do not need cooling, but if you do have the Raspberry Pi 4, like me, you do need some type of fan or heatsink. Also, you need a micro SD card, or if you don't want to use an SD card, you can use a USB flash drive. That'll work just as fine. Just make sure they're at least 16 gigabytes. After that, have a USB-C power supply. Mine is 5 volts at 3 amps. Besides that, if you're connecting via Ethernet, you obviously need an Ethernet cable, but if you're connecting via Wi-Fi, that's it. First, go to raspberrypi.org, then go to Software and Raspberry Pi OS. Then go to get to the Raspberry Pi imager and download that. Then click Download for Windows. Once it loads up, it should look something like this. Plug in your flash drive or SD card at this time. Now click Choose OS, Raspberry Pi Other, and then Raspberry Pi Lite. The desktop versions will work, but they're unnecessary for this. Then choose the flash drive or SD card, and then click Write. Okay guys, once that finishes up, eject the flash drive and then reinsert it, and then open up File Manager. Click this PC, and then go to the boot. Okay, at this point you want to make a new file, so right click and go over New, and then click Text Document. Type in SSH, and yes. By the way, if you cannot see these file extensions, that's like the ELF and the IMG, just go to View and make sure that the file name extensions is clicked. That's pretty important, just make sure it's clicked. And then once you do that, make sure it says SSH with no file extension. If you're using Ethernet, you're good, you can go to the next section of the video, but if you're using Wi-Fi, there is one more step you have to do. You have to create a new file, so go to New, Text Document, and this time you want to do this. So type in WPA underscore supplicant.conf and then click Enter, and then yes again. Okay, after that you need to edit it, but you can't just edit it with the normal notepad in Windows. What you have to do is you have to download Notepad++ from this link. I'll put it in the description for you guys. And then once you have that, you can come back here, right click it, and click Edit with Notepad++. Here we are in Notepad++. What you want to do is copy this into it. I'll have this in the description so you can just copy and paste it. Make sure your country is set to whatever your country is. I'll have a little chart. If you're in the US, it's US. If you're in the UK, it's G something, I forgot. So just make sure this is correct. And then change your network stuff. So for the SSID, that's your Wi-Fi name, and this is your Wi-Fi password. I'm obviously not going to show you guys what mine is, but then just do that, then click Save, and then you can insert the flash drive into the Raspberry Pi. There's not a whole lot of setting up to do as far as the hardware is concerned. Just insert the SD card into the Raspberry Pi, just like so, and then hook up the power. And here we are. Okay, hopefully you successfully booted up the Raspberry Pi. Now what you want to do is go to the Advanced IP Scanner website and download this tool. Okay, once you get to the screen, click Scan. What this is doing is it's finding the IP addresses of all of the devices on your network. What you want to do is find the Raspberry Pi, you see it's right here, and then just remember this IP address because you're going to have to use this to SSH into the Raspberry Pi. So mine is 10.0.0.14. I'll just memorize that, and then go to a different program. This one's Putty. You can download it from this website right here. Of course, the link will be in the description, but I already have that installed. So I'll just open it up, open, and then I'll type in the IP address. Mine's 10.0.0.14. By the way, yours might not be this 10.0.0.14. Just make sure it's the correct one for your circumstances. I'm going to click open, and then click yes, log in as Pi, and then the password is Raspberry, Raspberry. And there we go. So we SSH successfully into the Raspberry Pi. I'll clear this. Oops. Clear. And here we are. So I'm going to go make a little file just to prove it to you. Test file.txt list, and we can see it's right here. So that's how you do it. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up.